External costs and benefits. Economic decisions made through the marketplace are not always better than decisions that government can make. Much depends on whether those market transactions accurately reflect both the cost and the benefits that result. Under some conditions, they do not. When someone buys a table or a tractor, the question as to whether it is worth what it costs is answered by the actions of the purchaser who made the decision to buy it. However, when an electric utility company buys coal to burn to generate electricity, a significant part of the cost of the electricity generating process is paid by people who breathe the smoke that results from the burning of the coal, and whose homes and cars are dirtied by the soot. Cleaning, repainting, and medical costs paid by these people are not taken into account in the marketplace because these people do not participate in the transactions between the coal producer and the utility company. Such costs are called external costs by economists because such costs fall outside the parties to the transaction which creates these costs. External costs are therefore not taken into account in the marketplace, even when these are very substantial costs, which can extend beyond monetary losses to include bad health and premature death. While there are many decisions that can be made more efficiently through the marketplace than by government, this is one of those decisions that can be made more efficiently by the government than by the marketplace. Even such a champion of free markets as Milton Friedman acknowledged that there are effects on third parties for which it is not feasible to charge or recompense them. Clean air laws can reduce harmful emissions by legislation and regulations. Clean water laws and laws against disposing of toxic wastes where they will harm people can likewise force decisions to be made in ways that take into account the external costs that would otherwise be ignored by those transacting in the marketplace. By the same token, there may be transactions that would be beneficial to people who are not party to the decision-making and whose interests are therefore not taken into account. The benefits of mud flaps on cars and trucks may be apparent to anyone who has ever driven in a rainstorm behind a car or a truck that was throwing so much water or mud onto his windshield as to dangerously obscure vision. Even if everyone agrees that the benefits of mud flaps greatly exceed their costs, there is no feasible way of buying these benefits in a free market, since you receive no benefits from the mud flaps that you buy and put on your own car, but only from mud flaps that other people buy and put on their cars and trucks. These are external benefits. Here again, it is possible to obtain collectively through government what cannot be obtained individually through the marketplace, simply by having laws passed requiring all cars and trucks to have mud flaps on them. Some other benefits are indivisible. Either everybody gets these kinds of benefits or nobody gets them. Military defense is an example. If military defense had to be purchased individually through the marketplace, then those who felt threatened by foreign powers could pay for guns, troops, cannon, and all other means of military deterrence and defense, while those who saw no dangers could refuse to spend their money on such things. However, the level of military security would be the same for both, since supporters and non-supporters of military forces are intermixed in the same society and exposed to the same dangers from enemy action. Given the indivisibility of the benefits, even some citizens who fully appreciate the military dangers and who consider the cost of meeting those dangers to be fully justified by the benefits might still feel no need to voluntarily spend their own money for military purposes, since their individual contribution would have no serious effect on their own individual security, which would depend primarily on how much others contributed. In such a situation, it is entirely possible to end up with inadequate military defense, even if everyone understands the cost of effective defense and considers the benefits to be worth it. By collectivizing this decision and having it made by government, an end result can be achieved that is more in keeping with what most people want than if those people were allowed to decide individually what to do. Even among free market advocates, few would suggest that each individual should buy military defense in the marketplace. In short, there are things that government can do more efficiently than individuals, because external costs, external benefits, or indivisibilities make individual decisions in the marketplace based on individual interests, a less effective way of weighing costs and benefits to the whole society. While external costs and benefits are not automatically taken into account in the marketplace, this is not to say that there may not be some imaginative ways in which they can be. In Britain, for example, ponds or lakes are often privately owned, and these owners have every incentive to keep them from becoming polluted, since a clean body of water is more attractive to fishermen or boaters who pay for its use. Similarly with shopping malls. Although maintaining clean, attractive malls with benches, restrooms, and security personnel costs money that the mall owners do not collect from the shoppers, a mall with such things attracts more customers, and so the rents charged the individual store owners can be higher because a location in such malls is more valuable than a location in a mall without such amenities. While there are some decisions which can be made more efficiently by individuals and other decisions which can be made more efficiently through collective action, the collective action need not be that of a national or even a local government, but can be that of individuals spontaneously organizing themselves to deal with external costs or external benefits. For example, back during the pioneering days in the American West, when cattle grazed on the open plains that were not owned by anyone, there was the same danger that more animals would be allowed to graze than the land would support, as with sheep on the commons, since no given cattle owner had an incentive to restrict the number of his own animals that were allowed to graze. In the American West, during the pioneering era, owners of cattle organized themselves into cattlemen's associations that created rules for themselves and, in one way or another, kept newcomers out, in effect, turning the plains into collectively owned land with collectively determined rules, sometimes enforced by collectively hired gunmen. Modern trade associations can sometimes make collective decisions for an industry more efficiently than individual business owners could, especially when there are externalities of the sort used to justify government intervention in market economies. Such private associations can promote the sharing of information and the standardization of products and procedures, benefiting both themselves and their customers. Railroads can get together and standardize the gauges of their tracks so that trains can transfer from one line to another, or hotels can standardize their room reservation procedures in order to make travel reservations for their guests who are traveling on to another community. In short, while externalities are a serious consideration in determining the role of government, they do not simply provide a blanket justification or a magic word which automatically allows economics to be ignored and politically attractive goals to be pursued without further ado. Both the incentives of the market and the incentives of politics must be weighed when choosing between them on any particular issue.